Austin, as the only production guy on my team and one of 3 operations people, how would you deal with getting questions and answers when you have nobody around to rubber duck with? Rubber duck, I'm assuming it might be rubber ducky, whatever it is. It's this idea of, hey, I just want to like talk with you about what's going on and sort of bounce ideas and get to hear how I'm really great or not so great and what's going to blow up in my face. So this is actually pretty similar to the question that we answered earlier from Caleb. How do you get better at your role as a producer when you aren't at your job? But in this case, it's more because I don't have those people around me, those resources around me to talk to. So if I wanted questions and answers, the first place I would actually go are my peer leaders around me, even if they weren't producers. So you said you got a few other operations people. Great, you can talk to them. But who is your tech lead? Who's your art lead? Who's your QA lead? Your design lead? Your narrative lead? Talk to those people about the leadership side. They won't have a production lens perhaps, but they will provide insight. You don't have to do whatever they say either. You can talk to them. You can take into account what they're saying, and then you can run it through your own filters of what's good and bad. But if you did want to talk to other producers and they're just not available, one of the things I would look for is mentors outside the company. I would also hit up those Discords that I was talking about earlier. So this Building Better Games Discord, which you're already in. That's the one I run. And then there's Game Production Community and the Game Industry Coffee Chat. There you could hop into a room in the morning and ask a question. You say like, hey, I got a question for other producers. Anybody up for, and whoever's there, they won't all be producers, but you can at least ask them and you'll get to bounce the idea around. Sometimes that can get tricky because you might end up with like, I need someone who I can talk to that's NDA'd. That is harder. But yeah, talk to the leads around you, talk to producers outside of the company. You should be able to find them. And like what I said to Caleb, find ways. Don't just ask the question blind in the discussion and hope that you get good responses. You may, but also just ask like, hey, I want to talk to a producer who's been in this situation about this. Anybody have half an hour they could give? I've just been so pleasantly surprised at how willing people tend to be to help out and like, oh, let me share with you my experience. The problem is they don't have all your context. They don't know the specific things you know. That is a weakness. I mentioned earlier that producers are often alone. You are particularly alone as the only producer at your studio. So yeah, engage with the people around you, leads. I would also say make sure you're talking with your team and just getting an understanding of what their expectations of you are over time. See if any of them are good people to bounce ideas off of. I have had great conversations with QA. I think I call out QA because I think I've had more great conversations about how the process and pipeline could work with QA than I have with any other discipline. And I've worked on all kinds of different teams. And it's because QA is at the end of the pipe and they see every step. They have to understand the game development lifecycle in order to do their job well. And so a good QA might be a great person to be talking to. They won't have some of the experiences you will. Another advantage of QA, they're often much more humble. And no offense to any other disciplines, but QA has been perceived and looked at as the bottom of the barrel for so long they've internalized that. And so they're often more willing to just chat and not worry about it. And if you don't take their idea, they're not offended by it. Where I have run into that being a problem occasionally with some other disciplines. Sorry to those other disciplines. But you can talk to your team, co-leads, the operations people around you, find the producers outside, see if you can find mentors that are willing to just interact with you like once a month or on a topical basis when something comes up that you want to run past. And bring this up to your manager as well. See what suggestions they have for like, hey, is this something that I could do with you? Is this something I could do with, could you help me find somebody else to talk to or provide payment so I could get coaching around production or something like that. I don't know. There's different options you could look into there, but production can be a very lonely role. I feel for you, but there are things you can do. And I would say pursue those ways, find those communities of producers and engage with them outside your company, and then work with the other leaders within your company.